Welcome back to Get Into It with Tami Roman. Listen, if you guys want to see more Fox Soul content, make sure that you subscribe to their YouTube channel and make sure that you hit the notification bell so that you can get all the updates on the latest videos, news, and live shows. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and tell us how you feel, and then drop down in the comments section and get some things up off your chest. My guest today is a series regular opposite Octavia Spencer on Apple's Truth Be Told. She's best known for her roles in Love on Netflix, Unreal on Lifetime, Cold Case, one of my favorites, whoop whoop, for CBS, Rent the Musical, and The Devil Wears Prada. She's also recurring on 911 for Fox, and she's just overall incredible. Please welcome Tracie Thoms to the show. Hi, sis.
Hi, Sam.
How are you today? I'm so excited to have you here. It really means a lot to me. I'm surprised you're not having a party.
I'm surprised too, but COVID is just ending. We can't jump the gun too much. Gotta wait for everybody to get vaccinated.
Yes.
Before we can have any more parties. But you're gonna be here for the next one, right?
I'm definitely coming to the next one. But I heard your fireplace caught on fire.
It sure did. Who knew that could happen? My fireplace.
What happened?
I don't even know. So what happened was I have an outdoor fireplace, and it was Oscar night, and I was in my living room, with some friends who would come over to watch the Oscars. And then my brother comes into the living room. And he's like, "Yeah, so the fireplace is on fire." I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" So then I went out. He said, "We put most of the flames out, but like behind the fireplace, so it's like a fire behind the fireplace. Mm-hmm. And then on top of the fireplace, there's a little overhang where it connects." So I'm like, okay, so some leaves got in there or something, something I put it out. So I'm on my roof, dumping we're daisy chaining like buckets of water.
I saw that on Instagram. I said, only Tracie.
Only me. Saying I'm up there in a onesie, because a onesie is pretty much what I wear all the time. And I'm literally on my roof putting out the fire with my brother and like two of my roommates. A friend of mine is staying here who's actually on our show on Truth Be Told. He's here. So he's handing over buckets of water, and then finally it was still smoking. There are no more flames, but I was like, if it's still smoking, something's still burning. So I called the fire department, and they came.
I saw them pictures on Instagram with you with the fire department.
Only me. Yeah. Only me. And then one of my roommates, he started playing "We Didn't Start the Fire" by Billy Joel as a soundtrack.
For that moment.
For that moment, like, we didn't start the fire, but it's all burning, and
Oh my God.
Through my fireplace and let the smoke out. It was insane. But hey, listen, life is nothing if you don't make it fun, right?
It's a moment in Tracie's world, I tell you. But you said you were watching the Oscars, which is great because today's topic is about Black representation in Hollywood. Yes. Now, I know you remember last year, Zoe Saldana, who's, a Dominican, apologized for playing Nina Simone because her skin wasn't dark enough to play the role. And, they tried to give her makeup to make her darker. And Black people were furious when they saw her.
They were mad.
They were heated. Okay. Yeah. But Zoe was quoted as saying, "I thought back then that I had the permission to play her because I was a Black woman, and I am. But because it was Nina Simone and I was lighter skinned, and Nina had a life and her own journey, that people were just upset that they could have cast a darker skinned woman to play Nina Simone. But should we have been mad?"
I think in that situation, when we're playing like real people who lived, because so much of Nina's identity was based on the fact that she was a dark-skinned Black woman with African features. And we have plenty of dark-skinned Black women with African features who are actresses who could have played the role. Zoe looks nothing like her. And Zoe's relationship with her racial identity has kind of wavered in the past, I think. So people were upset with her because she, for a while, I think people didn't feel like she was really claiming to be a Black woman.
To be a Black woman. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Over time that has changed, people evolve, and I'm like, welcome to the party, you know, whatever. I don't, I'm mad at that, you know, because Afro-Latinas often have a different relationship to their Black identity because, you know, they're like, I'm Latina, you know, and that's true as well. So I think because of all those things together, people were upset because you have all these beautiful dark-skinned Black women who could have played that role. I mean, I think it does get tricky when we're playing, you know, roles that are iconic, people who are iconic, you know. But on the other hand, Chadwick Boseman played Thurgood Marshall, and Thurgood Marshall was light-skinned, and Chadwick was not light-skinned. So some people had issues with that, but Thurgood Marshall wasn't like really alive in our lifetime and wasn't like iconic for his appearance the way that Nina Simone was. So
do you think of who comes to mind when you think about like, well, so and so could have played that? I mean, if they really had just reached out, they might have
I mean, at the time, I think because it was years ago, Pero was really from Pariah, that movie Pariah. She's on
yes.
The Winter Soldier and Falcon and Winter Soldier right now, playing Falcon's sister. She like looks a whole lot like Nina Simone. And she was really in the public eye then because Pariah had come out, and so she was kind of hot at that moment.
Right. Perfect
casting for Nina Simone.
Yeah,
you know? If you're doing older Nina Simone, then you have Viola Davis is right there. You know, I mean,
yes, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? She's right there.
Exactly. But what I want to ask you is, things really haven't changed. I mean, yes, we're talking about Zoe from years ago, but there's still those moments where, you know, like even as of like last year or maybe 18 months ago, Vanessa Bell Calloway, who was in the original Coming to America, you know, she shared a story that she couldn't be in a certain role because they said she was too dark.
Right.
So, I mean, that's still going on.
Right. We're talking about like early 90s at this point, and people were not as evolved as they are now. And yeah, colorism is still an issue, but it was really, really, really an issue then. Like dark-skinned women weren't seen as beautiful then, which was a tragedy because we know black skin is beautiful, and the more melanin, the better, you know, and all melanin is beautiful, you know. So, so they were not really being seen as, you know, as beautiful, the beautiful women that they were. And colorism is really terrible, you know, because it all comes from like white supremacy, right? You know, we know the trickle down, you know, the lighter the better, blah, 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 all that crap that they make us believe that's not true. So yeah, so in the early 90s, for sure. I mean, I think right now we're seeing a surge in representation of dark-skinned women. Dark-skinned men have always kind of been in, though.
I was going to say, it's never really been an issue for the men. The women have always had the issue. But do you feel that there are really significant changes? Because I honestly feel that with the Black Lives Matter and, you know, organizations and companies coming out saying, you know, we're going to do better and we're going to support Black business and we're going to incorporate more. What I noticed is people of color, which is not necessarily saying Black, you know, African American, because now the Indians, Asians, you know, Latino, all of that is people of color, right? So when I think to me, it felt like they were pacifying us and trying to say they were going to do better, but not really doing better, and then still skewing it back to what they've always done anyway.
Well, yeah. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, because they don't really understand the problem, right? So they're just putting a Band-Aid on it. They're not actually going back and looking at the history of white supremacy in this country and how we got here. So they're like, okay, the people of color are mad, we'll hire two of them.
Right. But I still feel like people of color is not speaking specifically
to Black people, right?
Americans, to Black people. I mean, it's just, I feel like it's just a fancy way to still have something other than a Black person in these key positions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like for the longest time, I would go in for roles and it was like the other role. So I would go in for a role and I'd go in the waiting room and it'd be like a couple Black girls, couple Asian girls, couple like Indian girls. And it was like, so all of us are all competing for the same role. So like, we'll get in trouble if, I mean, we'll get in trouble if we have all white people. So we'll have somebody who's not white as the best friend or the secretary or the boss or something other than the lead.
Yeah, because we definitely aren't getting the lead, and we're still not getting the lead. You know what I mean? I think there have been minor changes. I mean, like truth be told, with Octavia being, you know, an African American female and the lead of that show, but there's still not enough.
Right. No, not enough at all. I mean, like I look at my career, I've been doing this for 20 years now, right? And I can count on like maybe one hand the amount of times I've actually auditioned for the lead in anything.
And see, that's ridiculous.
Right. You know, much less actually play the lead. This is just getting the opportunity to audition for the lead. I'm always like, oh, like I said, the friend or the coworker or, you know, the boss or somebody, not the lead, you know, but not following me home after work and seeing my life.
Right, exactly. But let me ask you this. Do you think it's harder for Black actors and actresses to get a role if there are no Black people actually involved in the production?
Oh, for sure. Because, you know, when you read a script, it's like, you know, it's like a woman. It's like Jill, 30s, you know, messed up hair, trying to put her lipstick on or whatever. You assume she's white, unless it specifically says she's Black. Right. Because the default human being is white in the world, and particularly in America. So you don't even think about that person not being white. It doesn't even occur to them. If they're white, they see white people. Like white people only see white people.
White people, yeah.
It's like,
true.
She could not be white. They're like, oh, it never occurred to me that this leading character who is multi-dimensional and layered and maybe a little bit messy and maybe a little bit complicated could be someone who isn't white. So don't think about this being that complex.
Do you have your agent send you out for stuff that doesn't specifically say Black? Do you make a point to say, hey, send me for that anyway?
Yeah, they do. They do. But I can go in the room and they'd be like, oh, wow, that was really great. Thank you. And they'll still usually hire a white woman. That's how they envision it. Because once you hire a Black person, then her parents have to be Black, her sisters and brothers have to be Black. The whole world becomes Black and they don't want to do that. Then it becomes a Black show.
How do we really make progress if nobody's willing to really address the problem, and because they're not willing to address it, there are fewer opportunities for us to even get ahead? So how do we as a people collectively, maybe it's something that we as, you know, African-American females, we start our own, like, you know, coalition or group to kind of make change. But what would be your thoughts on how we actually can try to move this thing forward?
Well, you have to have more control. Like, you look at someone like Issa Rae, for example. She just had a really great idea maybe 10 years ago and was like, I'm going to put this on YouTube, but I'm going to be relentless. But she understood, she's that generation, like right behind me, right behind my generation, who really came up with an in-depth understanding of the internet and social media and how it works. And how it works for us. For us, we were just, you know, we came up old school, you know, we went to school, we learned how to act. We came out, we got an agent, we auditioned, and hoped for the best. You know what I mean? Like, making your own content was not an option for us because we didn't have phones with cameras in them. We didn't have access to upload it to a thing, you know? So that whole mindset is different for like the millennial generation. So they're like, no, I can put my own thing up here. And it's, you know, I don't have to make it perfect. I'll just make it. I'll just get it out there. And that generation really, really understands that. And now she has, you know, deals everywhere. Because a really, really great idea and believes in it. So we just have to really like get with our crew of people and create interesting content that we want to see, like make what you want to see and then get it out there and promote it and have a deep understanding of how the mechanism works.
How it works. You know? And that's what I tell people all the time. Like
you do that really, really well.
You know, I'm like, get out there and learn. And even with, you know, like Bonnet Chronicles, it's like, I had no idea that was going to be a thing that the younger generation would relate to. Figuring out ways to keep our content out there is very important. When we come back, we're speaking more with my very special guest, Tracie Thoms. So I'd like for you guys to come on back now. Let's get into it with Tami Roman on Fox Soul. Welcome back to Get Into It. We're chatting with the beautiful actress Tracie Thoms. And listen, I know this lady because we do a show called Truth Be Told together for Apple TV. And I play her father's new wife. So I'm her mama-in-law.
Well, you're my stepmom, actually.
Yeah, stepmom. Actually. Yeah. Stepmom. But how did you get into acting? I mean, because you've done so much. Like, how did it start? Like, did you wake up one day and said, I want to be an actress, or were you trying to do something else, or how did this?
Well, it's really my story is really strange because I was 9 when I decided I wanted to take acting class. I grew up with both my parents went to college. So I grew up, in the 80s, knowing that if I ever wanted to do something, I had to learn how to do it. Mm-hmm. Very much, a scholars in my life and my parents, so I was like, okay, I have to take acting class. So I was taking dance class and I was really bad at it. It was terrible. I was terrible. I had no flexibility. How little kids are like bendy and then got a kid do thing. I was not that kid. I couldn't do any. I was an inflexible child. I couldn't do it. Like, I could learn the steps, but I didn't look good doing it. And I knew that. I had self-awareness that this was not my ministry, right? So I was like, what's it going to be, though? Because back in the day, there was Star Search, but there was also Junior Star Search.
Yes, I remember.
At the time, I was an only child. My brother was born when I was 13. So I was an only child. I was always bored. And I would watch Junior Star Search. And for some reason, I wanted to be on it. And my father worked in public television. So I was kind of around the arts my whole life. Uh-huh. And there was an acting competition on Star Search. You had to do the scene, like two kids do the same scene.
I remember that.
With a celebrity came in and did the scene. I was like, oh, that's just like playing make pretend. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that, though. I can do that. So I went to my parents' room and I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to take acting class. And they're like, okay. And before I knew it, I was in acting classes and I just kept doing it. And every time I tried to be normal, I realized I wasn't normal. Like for high school, I was in acting class on the weekends. We did it like Tuesday nights and Saturday was like, we put little plays together in my community theater that I grew up in, the Arena Players in Baltimore, Maryland, which is like the oldest running community theater in the country. It's a black.
I believe Jada went there too.
Yeah, and then all my friends from there went to the Baltimore School for the Arts, which Jada went to. And I was like, no, I'm going to be normal. I'm going to go to this regular high school. So I went to a regular high school and hated it. The first day of school, I was like, nope, I'm in the wrong place. I just wasn't built for regular high school pop, like Mean Girls and all that stuff that happens in high school. I was like, no, I'm in the wrong place. So then for 10th grade, I went to the Baltimore School for the Arts. Like Jada would come back and talk to us. So she was like our celebrity, person. Mm-hmm. Like, and Tupac would come back too. So Tupac would come back, Jada would come back, and we're like, oh, okay, we can do this. And then it came time to go to college, and I was like, I have to be normal now, though. So I went to Howard University for communication, radio, TV, film. And for 3 semesters, I was in radio, TV, film, and hated it. And my father's like, what are you doing? You don't like that. You want to be an actor? Go and get your degree in acting. And I was like, fine, Dad, don't yell at me.
Uh-huh.
He shamed me, called me out.
But he needed to just give it to you straight.
He did. He called me out for making decisions out of fear. He was like, you're just afraid you're going to fail, but you don't like it. You should do what you love. You love acting. You're good at it. You should do that. So again, I switched and got my BFA in acting at Howard. And then I studied Shakespeare one summer at Oxford. In Oxford, England, the British American Drama Academy. I went there, and the year after me, Chadwick Boseman went there because we were at Howard together. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then, the head of that program told me to audition for Juilliard, and I did. And then I got into Juilliard. So I went to another program for acting. And I think that's when I was like, okay, I'm just going to be an actor. I'm just going to be an actor and hope for the best, But I was still terrified because I didn't see anybody like me in the business. What
was your first job?
My first job out of school, I did an Excedrin commercial. I was a teacher. And then I did like a regional play. I did like the Oedipus cycle in DC. did my Greek theater, then I did Raisin in the Sun in Baltimore. And then I booked my first series, which was called As If on UPN.
Okay.
And then lucky for me, I just have not really stopped working since then for 20 years.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, every time I'm watching TV sometimes and I'm like, I'll be in a whole nother room and then I'm like, hear the voice and I'm like, is that Tracie? And I gotta go look. Get down, Tracie's on Law and Order. Tracie's on this.
I know, I ambush you all the time. I'm kind of like, I just always kind of say yes, because I really, if I can do it, I'll do it, because there's always an opportunity to learn and grow. And even if it's terrible, you learn from that. You learn from failures as well. And I really believe that. I believe that work begets work. So I, particularly in the beginning of my career, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. Let's see what happens.
How did Rent come about?
Rent?
How did Rent come about?
Well, Rent happened because when I was at Howard, and my boyfriend at the time was a business major, and all these companies were wooing him, and they got him tickets to see Rent, because you could not get tickets to see Rent in 96, 97. You couldn't get the ticket. It was like, so he's like, I got tickets to see Rent. I'm like, well, cool. So I took the train up. We saw Rent, and I sobbed. I was in the audience just like, and I'm not like a crier. I'm not like that person. I was like, so when I cry, people are like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, right. I'm leaking from my face, and then I was like, I have to be in the show. So I started auditioning for Rent that year in 97 and never got it. So I auditioned in 97, 98, 99, 2000. I just kept auditioning for it. I was very, I was like, I got a final call back when I started Juilliard. And if I had gotten into Rent before I started Juilliard, I would not have gone to Juilliard. I was that, like, I have to be in Rent. And I kept auditioning. So for the next 7 or 8 years, I kept auditioning and they kept saying no. And then the movie came around, and I was like, okay, this is going to be my last Rent audition. I have to stop at this point. Clearly, they don't want me.
Right.
I feel very strongly that I'm supposed to be in this show, and they do not.
Right.
I can take the hint. No means no. So I auditioned for it. And then a month later, I got the movie. So I skipped the show. I did the movie first. Yeah. And then after I got the movie, I found out that it was going to be with all the original cast who I'd seen on Broadway, who all changed my life. So that was crazy. And then I ended up doing the movie, and that was incredible. And then when they closed on Broadway, they asked me to come and play Joanne in the final casting, because get this, Merle Dandridge was doing it, who's on our show. Merle was doing it, and then Merle got another job. They extended one more time, and Merle couldn't finish it. So I came in to replace Merle for the last 5 weeks of the show on Broadway.
Okay. But the story that you just told really speaks to an actor's life. Yes. And you're going to hear no more times than you hear yes.
Oh,
and
way more times.
People do not understand that. It's like, they think that because they see you on TV like that, it just happens so instantly, and they don't know it. Like 50 auditions and 50 no's before you got that one yes, so. But you just believe
spaghetti at a wall, and that one noodle will stick. And that's the one yes. All the noodles will fall. One will stick. Exactly. And that's your yes.
Now you were also in The Devil Wears Prada, right? And how does that feel? And then of course we know all the TV shows. How are each of them different for you?
Well, they're all different. I mean, the experiences are all going to be different, because the group of people I meet on every set is different. So the environment is different, and the process is different. But, acting is so interesting because you always come from yourself, right? You always start with you. So your humanity is in every character. They're all like my little babies. But I approach everything as like a new person, and the relationships are different to the people. So yeah, I've played lots of best friends, right? For a long time, I was like some white girl's best friend in every show. So, but my relationship to Anne Hathaway in that was very specific, and often, the role of the Black woman in a lot of things. And my role is pretty much like this, even in Truth Be Told, is that I'm always the voice of reason.
This is true.
I always have that well, girl, you need to do this.
Yeah.
There's always that scene. Well, what you need to do is this.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know why people cast me that way, but I guess it's something about my energy. You know what I mean? I have to.
With your energy, like you feel so comfortable to talk to, so quite naturally a person would tell you their business wanting you to give them advice, and so that's probably why you know.
And people ask me often, like, if I wasn't an actress, what would I be? And I'm like, I'd probably be a psychiatrist if I wasn't an actress, which is very similar to me, because we're interested in how people's minds work because every character has a thought process. So if you get into the thought process of a character, what they think about, then you can play the role. You know what I mean? It's like an entryway into the role. Like, often I go into roles, think about, like, what is this character afraid of? Like, what are their fears? Because if you get into fear, then you can, it's like a shortcut getting into everything that's important to that person. But yeah, I've loved everything. Every person I've played, I love them, and they're a part of me. People always, what's your favorite? I'm like, I don't really have one.
Really don't have a favorite.
No, I have experiences that were favorites. Like Rent, of course, is a dream come true for me. So that's going to be the top of that thing. But then I work with Quentin Tarantino in Death Proof, and that was like, almost that was
Tarantino.
I'm driving a car, I'm doing stunts and stuff like that. So that's amazing. Cold Case was like my family for 4.5 years. So of course I love Cold Case. So they're all very, very near and dear to me.
When we open back up, do you want to do more Broadway?
Of course. Mm-hmm. Of course. It's just Broadway's time consuming. That's the thing about doing theater, because you have the whole rehearsal process, then you have your tech, then you have your run for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and finding a time to do that away from like the TV projects
that you got going on. Just go on and say you're busy, Tracie. Okay.
I'm busy.
Just go.
I'm booked and busy.
Yes, exactly.
I can't even say it seriously.
No, okay, do it again, because it need to be done right. Say I'm booked and busy the right way.
Okay, I'll do it. I'm work on it. Okay, here we go. I'm booked and busy.
Boom. There it is. You heard it first for the people in the back. Now, before you leave, we have this thing around here called Tammy's Fast Five. So I'm going to say 5 questions. You tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Woohoo.
You ready?
Hope I don't embarrass myself.
Here we go. If someone narrated your life, who would you want to be the narrator?
Alfre Woodard.
Oh, okay. What are you interested in that most people are not?
What am I interested in that most people are not? That's a good question. I got to be fast.
Take your time, because I want it to be good. I want to know, really.
I draw sacred geometry.
What the F is that?
So when you see like mandalas, like those circles with like
circles.
I draw those freehand. It's very strange. Wow. I don't know how I can do it. I don't know why I can do it. People are like, how did you do that? I'm like, it's just,
Yeah, you're right. Nobody's interested in that.
Nobody's interested in that. But me.
Not one person. Not one person. So you got
one person. Got that right. Okay, great.
What's your childhood nickname and how did you get it?
Stinky.
Stinky?
Stinky. Stinky. Stinky.
Oh, Stinky. How did you get the nickname Stinky?
My father would call me Stinky, and it stuck.
Because you used to walk around Putin, was it?
Well, no, it's because I had a stinky diaper, because babies have stinky diapers, and he was like, okay, come over here, Stinky.
Stinky. Okay, and it just stuck.
He still calls me Stinky.
Oh, Daddy, let it go. What movie always makes you laugh no matter how many times you watch it?
Boomerang.
Okay. And what was the last song that you sang along to?
Love No Limit, Mary J. Blige in my car yesterday.
Hey, okay, all things safety. That was a good answer, because I love Mary J. Blige.
I love Mary J. Blige.
All right, thank you, Tracie, for swinging through today. I really appreciate you.
I'm so happy to be through.
yeah, I just feel like when we get back on set for season 3, that there's some things I'm now gonna absolutely have to have.
Okay.
My invite to the parties.
Well, of course, that'll happen before season 3, though. As soon as we
Okay.
open back up, it's safe.
Okay.
We're gonna be here.
And then I'm gonna call you Stinky.
That's okay. That's okay. Come here, Stinky.
I'm gonna call you Stinky now because I done found out some tea.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna try to read up on the mandolin stuff that you do. But I may not put a lot of thought into it, but I'm gonna try.
When you see one, next time you see one, they're everywhere. When you see like a circle with like, you know, it looks like flowers and stuff, you'll go, Tracie Thoms. Tracie Thoms does that.
And then I'm trying to get you to draw me one freehand because that's what you're interested in that no one else does.
No one else.
I love you, sis.
I love you too.
Thank you so much.